Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalam khatam al-Nabeen wa ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We greet you with the universal greetings of peace, the greetings that was used by all of the prophets. Assalamu alaikum. May the peace and blessings of God Almighty be on us all. Welcome to another episode of Building Bridges Between the Faiths. We have started a new format. You recall last week we had an interview, a discussion with Thabo Samboti about the Nazareth Baptist Church, Shembe Church. Today we have another guest, a very interesting guest. He is not new to ITV. He was once before on a book that he wrote, and now he wrote another book. And we're going to be telling about this and introduce him and this book, a very interesting book called The Annihilation of Our Nation. Just for the benefit of those, if we go to the screen, and we will find that we just want to remind one another that this program is all about building the bridges of understanding between the faiths. Okay, and also we want to know that we are all the children of Adam, all the nations and tribes, and Jews, Christians, and Muslims are the Abrahamic family. And we also want to show you that, we are also one nation. Doesn't matter, humanity is one family. We believe in that humanity is one family. That doesn't matter which tribe, which nation we are. Kullu Bani Adam. And then also we want to also let you know that at the end of the day, it's all about understanding one another, right? It's all about understanding one another. I must love all mankind, all right? Humanity is one family. Islam teaches us that I shall love all mankind and that humanity is one family. So yes, let us build these bridges of understanding. And as we said today, we have a very interesting topic, a book written called The Annihilation of Our Nation. That is the topic, the book that was written by Thembinkosi Mbuyazi. We are having some technical problems trying to get to our slides. I hope we can get to it. The Annihilation of Our Nation. That's the title of the book by Thembinkosi Mbuyazi. And we're going to be discussing this book. I'm trying to see if I can get to our PowerPoint slide again. We're trying one more time, inshallah, to get it. Well, there we go. Annihilation of Our Nation by Thembinkosi Mbuyazi. Okay, so yes, let's welcome him, and so that we can introduce him. He is. Are you there, Themba?
Yes, I'm here.
Welcome to the program of ITV. You're not new on the program. Thanks for sacrificing your time. Thembinkosi is a interpreter in the High Court of South Africa in Durban. So he's a versatile man, especially in language, very astute in his language and in his thinking. Remember, he did a book previously. We had him on the show, Christianity in a Paradoxical Quagmire. But now he wrote a book, Annihilation of Our Nation. So Themba, this is a very interesting topic, Annihilation of Our Nation. What is this book? What made you to write such a book? The title of this book, what is it all about? Just as a beginning discussion for the viewers.
Right. Greetings to you and greetings to your viewers of ITV. As the title of the book says, Annihilation of Our Nation. Well, I used to have discussions with my acquaintances, my friends and neighbors, my colleagues. And during those discussions, we'll discuss certain things. And I used to ask them, what is it that Christianity brought that our people did not know? That is our forebears now. And the responses that I would get, most of them didn't make sense to me. And usually when something doesn't make sense, it's usually not true. And as a consequence of that, I had to now try and find answers on my own. And that is precisely what I did. And I collected some information, and I then came up with this book because an acquaintance of mine advised me to put in writing my submissions, which I made during our discussions.
Okay, so this is actually, that book is a result of actual, actual live interactive discussions you've been having with your friends and colleagues around in the Durban area where you live about Christianity. And from the title, Our Nation, then it's, I would take it, you're talking about the African nation in South Africa, our people in South Africa. And obviously before Christianity or Islam or any other religion came here, they were the locals who were believing, and they were here. So I think that's what you are trying to say. You are trying to say, let's ask the first question as to when they came, did they really bring something positive, or were they highlighting our nation? Where did they bring something to develop us or something to destroy us? That's where the word annihilation of our nation. Now, in your book, this is what your book is, I'm just summarizing the introduction. It says that if somebody wants to destroy a nation, they have to go on to three things. They must destroy three things in a nation, and they will have destroyed. One is their belief, and the next one is the culture, I think, and the ways and the traditions, and that is the way, you're going to destroy them. So you want to just, elaborate on that point as we introducing you and this topic.
Yes. When I looked at the whole situation, I discovered that if you want to destroy a nation, you attack the three fifth characteristics of the nation. That is religion, the language, and custom. And once you do that, then you'll have succeeded.
Religion, language, and culture.
Yes, that's true.
So I think that is true. What you're saying is true for any nation. If people want to rule us and dominate us, then they will start with our belief system, our language, and finally our cultural and background and the roots from where we came to cut that off.
That is true.
So,
and
yes?
Given the fact that we did not have what is now referred to as religion, we as the Africans or South Africans of African origin, we had a way of life, not a religion per se.
A formal religion with a name.
Yes.
But you had a belief system.
We had a belief system which was a way of life,
right,
which we practiced every day. We did not have a particular day that was set aside for people to go and pray and worship and all those kind of things.
And did you have a God that you worship?
We had God, and we referred to our Creator by His first name, which is Umvelinqangi. Mm-hmm. Just as Muslims refer to Him as Allah. We did not refer to Him by His title, God.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what is the actual meaning of Umvelinqangi? Or is it, what does it actually connotate?
It means who was there before everything else.
Okay. Okay. The one who was there from the beginning. Well, that was a good concept and a name to give God. There is also another name of God that the people in Africa had before Christianity or Islam or any other religion came, and that was Unkulunkulu. Is it?
I'm afraid Unkulunkulu is not the name. It's just a title.
A title, yeah.
And it's just a title, and in isiZulu, it doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. People did not refer to the Creator by His title. They referred to Him by His name, Umvelinqangi.
Okay. Now, where did this name come from then? Where did this word Unkulunkulu come from? Because it's still used, some of them still use it. Sorry?
Yeah. We now use it. If you break it down or if you analyze it, Umkulu means Mkulu.
Biggest.
Yeah, but that was not how Africans referred to the creator. They referred to the creator by his name, Umvelingane, just like Muslims. Muslims never use the title, they refer to him by his first name.
Okay. All right. So therefore, so let's start then. So you are saying that, and it is true, if you look at African traditional religion, and a religion before the coming of the colonialists and the missionaries into Africa and Southern Africa, the African people they were deep spiritual people worshiping the unseen creator of this universe, and had a system and a way of life. So what I want to know, as we proceed, when you said that if somebody wants to, the annihilation, how did this concept be annihilated? When you say the annihilation of a nation, you said the belief, you said the language and the culture. So let's start. Let's get the ball rolling. This is what you are researching, and this is what you are stating. How is it that this concept was annihilated?
Now, we start with the religion, which is now called religion. Now, as I said earlier on, we had a way of life. Now, when they brought Christianity to us, they then told us something that we did not know. Firstly, they told us that God had a son, or had a only begotten son, something our people did not know. Because the concept of a black man about God is that God does not have a son, he begets not, nor was he begotten.
He doesn't have human qualities.
Just like the Islamic concept.
Yes. So God does not have a human quality, yeah.
Yes. He does not have any, in actual fact, God does not need anything from us. All he needs from us is for us to worship him.
Correct. So that's the one pedestal that you say that was brought into the concept. In which other way you are saying, because you are postulating and your analysis is that, there was a belief system, but that belief system was changed and superseded. One is the concept of God. Is there any other parts of this religious system?
The other part is that, as I said, they told us that God had a son, or only begotten son, which is very confusing because they are unable to explain it. They say God the Son, God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Right.
So you approach it from the mathematical point of view, or from the arithmetical point of view, 1 + 1 + 1 will never give you 1. Mm-hmm. It gives you 3. Now, and if you raise that to them, they are unable to explain it. And you know what they always say? When they are unable to answer, they tell you, look, you don't have to ask questions. Spiritual matters need not be asked for clarity. You just take it as it is. Mm-hmm. So it means you have to swallow every line hook and sinker. They put down your throat.
Oh, it's a mystery. It's a mystery which you got to accept.
That is true.
Okay. Now, but you see, this is the other side of the coin now. I'm just playing a devil's advocate. The other side of the coin is that not only in South Africa and Southern Africa, but this concept is spread all over the world. This concept is spread in the Middle East, yet the Jewish people were also only believing in a one God also. But then it was also a new concept introduced to them. But before we answer it, we have to go and pay some bills. Let's go for a quick ad break and we'll be back. Yes, welcome back. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We are in conversation with a very interesting personality. You want to call him a character. He's a very deep thinking man, As I said, he is an interpreter at the High Court of South Africa in Durban. He's written many books. One of it we spoke about Christianity in a paradoxical quagmire. He wrote another book, Destruction of Our Nation. You can see he's a deep-seated African mindset, being of the soil of Africa and South Africa, and he is now trying to grapple with what is going on in the country and with the nation and with the values. We all of us, through some way or the other, South Africa is a mixture of African tradition, religion, and African values, and it is also European and Western values who were our colonizers. So it is a mixture of these two. Let's get back to Themba and let Themba, I was saying to you, Themba, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
You see, even this concept of this Trinity and Three God which you raised also in your first book, is that it was not a Jewish. Even till today, the Jews believe in Sama Israel Adonai Ohini Ilahi Ihad, that here, O Israel, the God, our Lord, is one God. And this Christianity, which you said in your first book about Paul, who brought this concept in, but it spread all over the world. Now it's a reality, it is there. So besides the concept, it's now all over the world. It's and it's been accepted by millions of people, this concept of a triune God. What other aspect of our religious life in Africa, you think that has been, from the original African life has been changed?
Well, you see, the other thing is people do not know that the Israelites, or let me say the real Israelites, were black. Mm-hmm. Hence, their concept of God is the same as ours. There is one God. Moses said that in the Old Testament. Jesus said the same thing verbatim in the New Testament, in the book of Mark.
Yes.
Hear, O Israel, your God is one God.
Right. So yes. Besides the concept of God, because in your book you have got three aspects which you feel our country before the colonizers came, before foreign influence came in, the people had their culture, they had their tradition. So in religion itself, is there any other aspect of the African religion, before we go on to the language, to the next thing, which is the language, is there anything else you want to add about, in which way you are saying the religion has been eroded and annihilated, the original religious practice? Maybe the values have changed.
The practices, there is a problem with the Easters. They celebrate Easter. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, they do not know why they have to celebrate Easter. In the Bible, it is mentioned why God instructed the Israelites to celebrate Easter. And they were given two reasons for that. But when they introduced Easter to us, they did not tell us why. And we just went along and celebrated Easter. Mm-hmm. And it's very strange that those people who brought the Bible to us, who brought the Christianity to us, when during the Easter period, instead of them going to church to celebrate Easter, they go to the beaches and have braais. Mm-hmm. And we are left alone in the churches. It's quite strange.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so again, you saying again that festival of Easter is again something that is even foreign to Christianity, you feel?
It is foreign to Christianity because it was only meant for the Israelites. I refrain from using the term Jews because the way I look at it, when I read the Bible, the Jews were just a tribe. The Jews are just a tribe, not a nation. It's the Israelite nation and the Jewish tribe.
Okay. Yeah, well, it is true. Yeah, what you are saying is that in the book of Matthew, it is stated that Jesus, peace be upon him, said, have been sent, but not to unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. He's talking about Israel and the Israelite people. And Moses, peace be upon him, was sent to the Israelite people to rescue them. But let's go on to the next point, I think, then, if you want to go to language. Because now the religious side, you said, because your book is trying to say, that's what you are saying in your book, that our nation is being annihilated and our values are being eroded. The African values, and that was there before any outside influence came in.
That is true. And when we look at the language now, unfortunately, we read the Bible in various languages in South Africa, because South Africa is predominantly English, because it was colonized by English-speaking people. So we read the Bible in English, but when you look at the Old Testament, it is said it was first written in Hebrew, and the New Testament was first written in Greek, not in any of our languages here. Mm-hmm. Now, when we read the Bible in English, there are certain things that get changed in the
translation
process. And that is when we have a problem now. And in the process, people have been made to believe that English is the main language. If you cannot speak English, then it means you are nothing. Mm. And people even go to the extent of praying in English. I accept God never set a rule that we must pray in a particular language, because he understands all the languages, including the sign language. Mm-hmm. But what I find it very perplexing is that I have never heard a white person praying in any of our African languages.
Okay, so if you come to the language part of it, what you are saying again is, and maybe because this topic, is as we are in a democracy and we are 25 years or so into a democracy, and our freedom was supposed to enhance, and our freedom was supposed to empower us more in our traditions and in our Africanness and values, and you feeling that this is actually going the opposite direction, even in the language now. Because language, I think, and this is the question I'm putting to you, Themba, because of this influence, and you are on the ground, you are a Zulu background, isiZulu background, you know English very well, you know English better than most English-speaking people, you are a translator, and you now, why is it that the new generation is moving away? I don't know, even in our schools, how can you just talk about, because this is what you're talking about, the local languages are being eroded and English or Afrikaans is being made more predominant. English has become the language of commerce and trade. You have to know it. You are in court. Most of the proceedings are in English. That's why you got to interpret, because it's taking place in English and the local Zulu people can't understand what's going on.
That is true. Let's look at it this way. Muslims go for Hajj, right? Mm-hmm. And when they go for Hajj, whenever they pray, they use a particular language. The prayers are conducted in a particular language to avoid chaotic situations.
In a common language.
Common language, yes, which is Arabic.
Arabic,
right?
yeah.
So you go to Australia, go to Saudi Arabia, when it's time for prayer, you won't have a problem. You'll be able to follow all the prayers.
Yes.
But when you are talking to another person, for instance, if you go to Saudi Arabia, you can meet someone from another country. You can speak in any other language, but if you meet an American on Hajj, you'll communicate in English. But when it's time for prayer, it's now Arabic for the benefit of everyone.
Common language now, to all.
Yes, which is a common language which is used now for prayer purposes. Mm. But now, with us here, what has happened, our children have also drifted away from their own mother tongue. They can't even speak it. They don't understand it. And once, because language and custom are spliced together like lock and key.
Yes.
You lose your language, you are likely to lose your culture.
Yes.
Because our forebears did not speak English. And we find it very strange then that they have gradually put English as the main language, and our African languages have now taken the back seat.
So would you now, if I want to play again a role from the other side, because these are important discussions in the new South Africa. These are important discussions because now we're not under colonial or oppressive apartheid rule. We have our freedom and democracy, and we're still feeling that somehow or the other we're not getting what we're supposed to be getting, or we're not progressing in the direction we're supposed to be progressing. Now, the question I'm putting to you, Thabo, and keep this point in mind, I'm going to go for a break. Don't you think, is the problem with the church and colonizers of the past, or because we have a democratic government now, is it not the problem of our government now that's causing this problem? Let's go for a break and we'll come back and answer this. Welcome back. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yes, as we said again, when you're in discussion, time just goes. We are talking to Themba Thembinkosi Muaz. What's his, let me get his surname right. Mbuyazi. Yeah, my pronunciation is not Thembinkosi Mbuyazi. Talking about annihilation of our nation, slowly values. We find all of us, all cultures, especially minority cultures, the Muslim community, the other communities who are minorities in this country, they feel that they are being marginalized. Now, the question I was asking Themba is, yes, we could have said that about the past, 300 years of colonialism. We had 300 years of colonialism that brought us to where we are. But we have a democratic government who is supposed to be putting emphasis and changing the needle. Are they doing enough, or are they complicit, Themba?
I'm afraid the politicians won't like to hear this. I put the blame squarely at their door, simply because we only have liberation. That is all we got. We did not get independence. And by the look of things, we will never get independence with the current crop of politicians that we have. So they are to blame.
But Themba, it is an African black majority government that is running the country, and they are making the laws. I mean, there's a lot of emphasis on, affirmative action, on BEE, black empowerment. I'm just playing a devil's advocate, eh?
The African-speaking people have a proverb that says, "En de land van de blenders as een oog de koning." And that is the situation that we are facing at the moment. We are being led by the one-eyed because we are blind. Okay. So they are not doing anything for us and for the country.
Okay, so you're not the first one and you're not the last one. And this is why we're having this discussion, building bridges. We are trying to build bridges between various religions, various cultural, and various barriers. You build bridges to cross barriers. This barrier of colonization and this barrier of trying to suppress and annihilate our culture and our values. But I want to still bring back this point, Themba. We are in a democracy, and we all have a choice. I like what you're saying. leading the blind leading the blind, or the one eye leading the blind. But I think that we need more programs like this and groupings to mobilize people, because we, in a democracy, I still believe, if we mobilize and galvanize and speak more about these things and get mobilized, we can put pressure on the powers that be, on the politicians, to say, hey, look here, we need to bring about these changes. It's in our hands.
Well, I'm afraid as long as we still stick to democracy, we will not get anywhere. Yes, we have what they label as democracy. Democracy is a wide term. It depends on how you want to describe it. But there is one system that can help us, but they will never accept it. We don't need democracy, we need meritocracy.
Meritocracy.
That is what we need.
So explain that for the viewers.
Meritocracy is the real government of the people, by the people, and it is run by the people.
On merit.
The people, meritocracy. The current system is not going to help us, because what is happening now, people vote without following or understanding the ideologies of political parties. They just concentrate on the manifesto. A manifesto changes every time we have elections, but the ideologies of the political party do not change. But now when the people vote, they vote following the manifesto of a particular party. Now, when you vote, you just vote for the party, you do not vote for an individual. The party decides who the president is going to be, who the MEC is going to be, who the mayor is going to be. You have got no say. But when it comes to meritocracy, you have a say. If you feel Mr. So-and-so can be a better Minister of Education, you appoint that person, give him the portfolio, and if he's not delivering, you remove him from office, put somebody else. You as a voter, you have a say. Unlike now. So that is why I'm saying what we have, if they call it democracy, then the definition of democracy is something else. But it doesn't help us. It doesn't work for the masses.
Okay.
Because they've got no say.
Okay, so let's round this point up. I take your point. I understand it's a good point, because some others actually are saying the same thing right now in the problems we're going through, is that you give the person who's competent for the job to get the job, not because you are just anybody is put in there because the party decided that. Whether that person is competent or incompetent, he has merit in doing that job, and that's what you're saying. But now I'm coming back just to end this point, because we've got one more point to cover, and that is, customs and besides the language, because the language thing brought us here to say that we need to put pressure. But I still feel we still have within this democratic framework. I'm just putting this to you, that although it is a democratic framework and it has its barriers and it has its no-go areas where the ordinary masses can't access, but I think with the well organized, on the ground, different people of religious groups. If different religious groups unite as one body on the ground, on common values, and push it, don't you think we can get somewhere?
Yes, we can. But the problem with that is that people, if you come up with a suggestion, they won't look at the suggestion, they will look at you. Who is this person who's coming with a suggestion? And they just shoot it down. If they don't like you, they shoot it down. And that is not going to take us anywhere. But the point you're making is very good. But the question is, because ego rules us, I'm going to look at who comes up with the suggestion. If it's not my friend, then it's not going to work.
All right. So let's just come back to the language to round up this point of language, because we went through religion, language. We're going to do one more factor which we have to talk about is customs and you know, the African cultural values. You were right to saying that language is a very important component of a culture. A person's culture, you know, if you study in sociology, a person's culture, what makes up culture? It's a language, it's religion, it's dress, attire, it is food and dietary things. These are the kind of things and certain values based. Now let's broaden, let's go to other issues. You know, because your book is the annihilation of the nation. You're using a strong term, and you are feeling strong about the fact that our nation is being annihilated in terms of our religion, our culture, our values. So let's go on to try and you got to convince the viewer that that's what's happening here. That now let's take to the next issue. How do you feel the culture's values are being eroded and annihilated?
You now want to us to move to the next issue, customs. Okay. Now, with customs, I think the viewers will understand, especially those who are South Africans of African origin, that before it was not permissible for a man to stay to live with a woman when they did not have the benefit of a marriage.
Okay.
Now, living together without the benefit of marriage was not permissible.
You're talking about can I just come in? So just for the viewers, if I'm understanding you right, you're trying to tell me that before Christianity and colonization, this was the tradition and the value system in the African tradition in let's talk about Southern Africa, that there's no living in with a woman, you have to get married. Is that what you're saying?
That is correct.
Okay.
And over and above that, extramarital children were not as common as it was today. We have a lot of extramarital children today because a 20-year-old has 2 or 3 children, something that is very strange to our forebears. It was not our custom.
Okay.
And this has given rise to the current problems that we have. And even the way things are done now, for instance, engagement. It was very strange for us to have engagement the way things are done. With us, a boy will speak to his dad that he wants now to get married, and a delegation would be sent to the girl's family to ask for hand in marriage. And that delegation, the sending of the delegation, was an engagement on its own, that the boy intends to get married to the girl. Now this, where a boy will just go down on his knees, whether it's in a restaurant or in the office or wherever, and say, will you marry me? In the absence of the parents, the girl will just go home in the afternoon and say, look, so-and-so has promised to marry me. It's something very strange to the African people. And even at the weddings themselves.
Okay. Can I just come in? Because I think because of we have to go for a break. I think you explained the engagement part. Just hold your point. We'll come and move on to the marriage part in the last segment after the break, and the viewers should keep their pens ready to take some details down. So stay tuned. We'll be back after the break for the last segment. Right, welcome back to the last segment. In discussion with Thembinkosi Mbuyazi, and on his book, the Annihilation of Our Nation. By the way, this book can be available. You contact him, I will give you his details. Perhaps if you get off your pen now, you can write it. I'll give it to you again at the end. Let's hope we can. As I said, we are having some technical problems, but let's see if we can see this on the screen. if you can get his details. His number is 0844. There we go, 0844 345 199. That's Tembinkosi Mboyize, right? And IFRI's details are there. 031 507 5080, our cell number 074 560 and info@ifri.com. So here we go, Tembinkosi Mbuyazi, right? 0844 345 199. You can get in touch with him, for his details and for his books. Let's get back to Temba because we got just a few minutes left. Very interesting discussion. Here's a man who obviously from a very strong Christian background he came. He was a lay preacher, am I right? Were you a lay preacher at one stage? Or what do you call it? Temba?
I do not know what I
used to do some preaching at one stage. Were you doing some preaching?
At one stage? Well, preaching, no.
Not in a church.
Because I do not believe in preaching.
Okay.
I believe the prophets were not preaching, but they were teaching.
Okay.
They were teachers rather than preachers.
Okay, so what we're saying, Temba has come from a teaching background, what we traditionally will call, and so he's been well read. And now what he's finding, and it's close to his heart and close to many people's heart, that we find that although we're in a democracy, that we find that our values are being eroded. Now, you were talking a very interesting thing before, the colonizers and foreigners came. There was this proper method of marriage and proposal with the delegation. Now you were going to talk about the wedding. Let's just proceed with that, Temba.
Yes, when it comes on the wedding day, you'll find that because respect is the paramount virtue of a black man. Now, on the wedding day, the priest, after solemnizing the marriage, will say, "You may now kiss the bride." Now, these two individuals, the groom and the bride, find it difficult to kiss each other in the presence of their in-laws or in presence of their respective in-laws.
And elders, yes.
Because in African culture, they do not do that in the presence of their in-laws.
Okay.
And they find it very difficult to do it. But because the white wedding, the so-called white wedding, was rammed down our throats, then they go for the white wedding with all its principles. But along the line, they encounter some problems.
Okay. So I'm hearing what you're saying. So what you are saying is these are the new values that have crept in. Now, I want to come back to an earlier point, Temba, which you made. And I think this is a very serious point. And this is one of the reasons, my reasons really, I'm telling you now on live on air for bringing you onto this program. Because when I read your book, you are worried about the youth and the future of this country, where the values are being eroded, so much teenage pregnancy, children respect going. Now, these are the very vital issues affecting the country. While we got the last few minutes, and obviously the book, your book is published already, isn't it? And people, I gave you a number, they will be able to contact you. They can contact you on that number if they need a copy of that book. Okay. What I want to know is, how do you see the future? How do you see as Muslims now? Why we are as Muslims, we also value those same values of African values of respect for elders and no premarital sex and no living in and all these things, believing in one God. Our children are affected as much as the African child in language and in all these values. I'm just proposing, I'm coming back to my original point. It's good we have identified it. Can we turn the needle? Can we do something?
Yes, something can still be done. We can still rediscover ourselves. In fact, that is the title of the next book that is going to come out shortly, The Road to Self-Rediscovery. We can still rediscover ourselves, but we need to put a lot of effort.
Mm-hmm.
The religious leaders need to come together. I know it's very difficult for them to do that. They need to have a symposium and discuss these issues. The politicians, they should put the political party aside and come together to see how best can they take the country forward.
Mm.
And that can still be done. But the difficulty is people tend to go on a point scoring expedition.
Yes.
And if we go on a point scoring expedition, we are not going to get anywhere.
Well, look,
Because that is not going to help us. Our children and our great-grandchildren are going to judge us on this.
yes, that is the big issue. And I want to just, and I'm sure in your comments you just made, and this is exactly what Building Bridges wants to do as well, help you in your, because you are, reached that point of awareness and consciousness of worrying about not only for us, but our children and grandchildren of the future. They're going to judge us. So in that discussion, I think when you said religious leaders, I want to just add what IFRI is wanting to do here and Building Bridges with ITV, that this is what ITV is planning to do with this program, is to bring in on the program here a politician, a religious, and other, not only religious leaders of different faiths, to discuss this very issue of how to raise consciousness so that we can turn the needle and rediscover ourselves, that that where we are and the direction, refocus the direction we need to take.
Yes, that needs to be done. But now, who is going to do that? Because the politicians won't do it. Mm-hmm. If you write to the presidency, you won't get a response. You write to the premier's office, you may not get a response. Things are going to continue like this.
Yes, so you are right. That's the point we are making here. It has to start from the grassroots. We first start a process at the grassroots level. I think the time has come, despite the fact that we are different religions and different cultures and different races, but there are certain things that affects all of us. If there's drugs in the community, drugs doesn't know color, drugs doesn't know religion, drugs doesn't know political party. So likewise with all the other things of HIV and teenage pregnancy, it's across the board. And I think as elders, as responsible parents, as responsible religious leaders and social leaders, we need to start a movement, work together on the ground, put those other differences and unite for at least to make a better future of a moral basis for our future, for our children.
I totally concur with you. I believe when that is done, the question of religion and denominations should be put aside. We must all look at what does God want from us? What does our Creator expect of us? That should be the starting point. And from that point, then we move in the same direction. What does our Creator want from us? Mm-hmm. How does He expect us to live with one another? And once we do that, then we put aside all these religious denominations, Christian denominations, we put that all aside and we look at our Creator. If we all believe in one God, then we ask ourselves, what does God want from us? Does God want us to abuse one another, kill one another, rob one another, steal from one another? We move from that. Does God want the leaders to steal from the aged and from the poor, from the vulnerable? So we ask those questions and we have common answers and we then move in the same direction.
Well, I think that's very well put, Temba. I think God must bless you for your efforts, because I believe, you know, in every big event that happened in history started with small steps. You know, the Chinese proverb that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. So let's hope this was the first step we're making. God should bless us. Thank you for coming on the program. While I'm ending up, I'll put Temba's details on the screen again for you all to see. And thanks you till we meet again. Inshallah, Khuda Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.